Hi, I'm Gary White with Channel 6 Central Kentucky Television, and I'm here with Dr. Trish Ciccone at Central Kentucky Optometric Associates with offices in Lebanon and in Springfield. And as we're recording this, it's coming towards the end of summer, beginning of the school year soon, right?
Yeah, Bethlehem starts on the 1st, and I think pretty much Washington and Marion County are following on the 7th. I think Taylor County might be the 17th. I'm not 100% sure on that date.
So they're coming up.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Which means it's time to be thinking a little bit about school and what kids need to have in order to go to school. Because there was actually an eye exam element to kids being able to attend school, right?
Yeah, the state of Kentucky several years ago mandated that any child entering school in the state of Kentucky for the first time needs to have an eye exam to ensure that they're seeing well and not having any health or visual problems.
And so that's for public school, parochial school, any kind of
any school,
right?
Any school in Kentucky. If you're, generally you think of the preschoolers coming in. All the Head Start kids have to have one. And if you're entering kindergarten, if you hadn't been to preschool or Head Start yet and you're entering kindergarten, then you have to have one, for that. Or say you transferred from another state, you have to show proof of an eye exam. Anytime you're entering any school, public or parochial in Kentucky, for the first time you have to have an eye exam.
And I know we've talked in the past that it would be ideal if that would not actually be the first time that they're having an eye exam, right?
Yeah, it would be, because a lot of times a lot of visual problems, they're more readily and easier addressed when the child or the individual is younger. If you have a strabismus or an anisometropia and you have an amblyoptic or a lazy eye, you want to get to that as soon as you can to start stimulating that eye to ensure proper visual development binocularly and monocularly. So the sooner we get to these kids, identify them, and then intervene, the better chance they have to not have any visual problems later on.
Now, if it does end up being the first time that their child is going to be here for an eye exam, what can both the child and the parent expect?
Well, when you come in, there's going to be a good health history. We need to know what the insurance is going to be ahead of time so that we can make sure that all the proper authorizations so we can actually go ahead with the exam on the day that you come. The child will receive, they will be some certain tests, but they will receive eye drops in their eyes to, one, to numb their eye, to check their pressures, and two, to dilate their pupils, and to do what's called a cycloplegic exam, which is a refraction under cycloplegia to look for latent, what we call hyperopia. So it's good to not scare the kids. It kind of works out better if you don't take them for their shots and then bring them to the eye doctor. Because they usually get pretty scared from the shots and don't like to come in. And if you prepare them, just go get some artificial tears and show them that the eye drops aren't going to hurt or sting. It's not always a good idea to bring small siblings together, because if one starts crying or sees a sibling getting the drops and they freak out, sometimes the next child will freak out too. They become empathetic of one another, which is understandable. If the child needs the parent to stay in the room with you, don't schedule your exam with the child's, because we have to put you in separate exam rooms if you're scheduled together. So if you want to be with them when they're having their eye exam, it's sometimes better to put your exam at a different time than that. So it's talk to them about eye drops, get some artificial tears and show them that artificial tears don't hurt or sting, and make them understand that we're here to help them and we're their friends and they can trust us to take good care of them, and that the eye drops really are no big deal.
Yeah. And it's all for their well-being. Just to make sure there's no issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah. But if you act like, oh my God, she's going to put those drops in, and then, oh, I hate those drops, the child is going to see that and they're going to react similarly. So, we do our very best to be as kind and gentle and to tend to them, but we still have to get the job done. So a little prep work from mom and dad or guardians or grandma and gramps or whoever's going to bring them in. We do have to have parent signatures, and so parents or guardians, if you're sending the child with grandmother or grandfather or another individual, we have to have some signatures from the parents beforehand. So make sure that all that's in order as well.
So they're going to come get their exam. Hopefully everything will be fine. How often then after that point?
Generally it's once a year. After that, some kids can probably get by with once every 2 years. It just depends on their situation, their health status. So any child that would be diabetic, we would certainly see them every year. Any child that has a refractive error that needs addressing, we certainly would see them every year. And so most kids we do see annually. Sometimes some kids we can stretch to every 2 years, but generally it's once a year for kids because they change, and when they grow and they change and they have their biggest growth spurts, that's when their eyes and their vision are likely to change the most. So at least a minimum of once every 2 years, but for most kids once a year is more appropriate.
Right. And depending on your child, there are certain things that might be needed. If they're in sports, for instance, you may need some goggles or protective wear. Contact lenses, and it varies who those are appropriate for. Different activities might require different visual aids, and certainly safety goggles or safety specs for certain activities. If you've got a swimmer, we might need to do some prescription goggles for them. So we're going to tailor what they need to what their personal lifestyle and activities are. Right. But pretty much every child in today's day and age is going to have some impact or going to be involved with the computer. So is that something, sometimes you can, the rays, I think, from the computer or something you look at, right?
It's the harmful blue light. One issue is that overstimulation with this blue light interrupts with their sleep cycles. So if they're really on it for several hours before bedtime, your child might not be sleeping well, and that can interfere. The other is the blue light, and we have a nice little poster in here, and you can get you get blue light from regular incandescent light. You get it more from fluorescent lights, you get it from sunlight, and you get it from digital devices. So kids are being exposed to more and more blue light just from the nature of they're being exposed to a lot more digital devices than we ever did when we were younger. And so if they're outdoors, we want to protect them from ultraviolet and blue light. If they're indoors and they're using digital devices, we want to protect them from the harmful blue light. Reason being that they're being exposed a lot more than our previous generations, and we really don't know at this point what kind of impact that's going to have on the development of macular degeneration, but the studies do indicate or are leaning towards that the harmful blue rays are contributory to the development of macular degeneration, and the exposure is cumulative over a lifetime, just like sun damage to skin is cumulative over a lifetime. And so if you're exposed a lot more when you're a child, does that mean you're going to get macular degeneration earlier? That's something to think about, and certainly something to maybe address. So lenses are coming out with filters, with blue light filters. Do they absorb or filter all the blue light? No, they don't, and that's something folks need to understand. Most of them up to about 25%, unless you're wearing transitions lenses, and transitions lenses, when they're clear, are about 25%, just like the other blue filters, but when you're outside, it increases to about 80%. So that's probably the best filter. But there are anti-glare coatings with the filter. We have Eisen lens and several other progressive lenses and digital lenses that actually have a blue filter built right in. So if your child is on a digital device a lot, even if they don't have a prescription, it might not be a bad idea to think about getting them a blue filter to protect their eyes and reduce their exposure.
Absolutely. And also, as we're going back to school and there's going to be more studying and all this other stuff going on, if a child is complaining to their parent of headaches or just some different symptoms, what kind of symptoms might be a cause for
Headache
alarm
is a
for
big
eyes?
one. You know, headache is a big one, and actually probably less than 20% of all headaches are actually related to a visual problem, but that's still a big number. And sometimes it can be just a small refractive error might be contributing, or it can be a misalignment, convergence insufficiency, or an exotropia, or an exophoria, or an esophoria. So it could be an alignment problem with the eyes might be contributing to headache. But signs of visual problems are headaches is one, the eyes feeling dry or burning later in the day, watering eyes, just kind of a feeling of malaise or an ill feeling where your eyes just kind of, you know, if you feel pressure on and around your eyes, you know, think about it. Sit here and try and squint for a long period of time and see how your eyes feel if you're doing that.
Right.
So, you know, kids are doing a lot more near point work than ever before because we're not using chalkboards as much as we used to. We're using Chromebooks. So the kids are doing a lot more near work now than again previous generations ever did, and so their near point complaints, even smaller or small refractive errors, might be producing some symptomatic issues more often than they did for, like, say, when you or I were in school.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so those are some kind of symptoms. Kids won't always tell you when they can't see good,
Right.
because they don't really know that they don't see what their friend doesn't see. And a lot of times, so, you know, a child will come in and can't even see the big E, and mom and dad will be kind of freaked out and said, "Oh my God, why didn't they tell me?" You know?
Yeah.
And it's like they just don't tell you. They think, well, they don't know that they're not seeing what they're supposed to be seeing.
Right.
And so they don't tell you. Or maybe they think, oh gosh, if I tell them, I'm going to have to go get glasses, or I'm going to have to go get an exam and get those drops in my eyes. You know?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of reasons why they're not going to tell you. So don't feel bad if you didn't know that they were having problems. Just, you know, be glad that you brought them in and that we took care of their problem.
Absolutely. And that's something to do. Of course, it's the beginning of school. You have to do it for a child in Kentucky to enter school. But also, from that point on, it's nice to do it every year to kind of have an idea of what's going on, because your eyes can change within the year at any time during your lifetime, right?
Yeah, and your growth is a big causative factor of change. So,
So contact Central Kentucky Optometric Associates. Make your appointments. There's still some time before school, but even afterwards, you still can get them in there and get this taken care of. And there are offices in both Lebanon and in Springfield. And our phone numbers for the office?
Lebanon is 270-692-1871, and Springfield is 859-336-9388.
And that's Central Kentucky Optometric Associates. And I've been talking with Dr. Trish Ciccone. This is Gary White for Channel 6, Central Kentucky Television.